Well, hello everyone, and welcome into Six Screen Sunday. Wow, I'll tell you what, friends, we had a lot of people listening in last night, and I promoted the program. So, I hope you came in. I hope you came in today, and already I see people coming in, so that's good. Yes, Sunday is quite a different day here at the Six Screens. Right now, a lot of people, probably more than ever, are leaving the Watchtower organization. And in view of what even happened this week, you all heard about Watchtower now allowing people to go to college and get higher education. That never was the case. So I know there's a lot of former Jehovah's Witnesses even witnesses that are just kind of going to the exit doors right now. Stay with us today. Don't run off to the mountains. I think you'll really enjoy today's program. We're not going to be in your face with preaching to you. We want to help you. We don't want you to leave God when you leave the Watchtower. So by all means, stay with us today. I believe you'll find it really fascinating. So anyways, we've got Scott Walton. Well, he's a Christian apologist. He's a Bible scholar as well. And we have Jody Bishop. He is an apologist. These guys are doing a great job out there. They're exposing falsehood. They wanted to have this program on the Six Screens to expose the Watchtower for the false teachings and policies in that organization. So let's bring Scott on, and let's bring Jody on and say hello to them. Hello, guys.
Howdy.
Hi, Rick. Hi, everyone.
So anyways, it's full speed ahead. So I like what you're going to be speaking about today. And that, of course, I'm just going to mute Jody here for a second. Jody, I'm going to mute you, so don't mind me doing that. That'll kind of keep that noise down until we get organized. So anyways, we got a program coming up today, AI. And it got my attention. Scott sent me a link off yesterday. It got my attention because right now there's a lot of things happening in AI that could really change the world. And it's not just going to be Scott who's going to be talking about this today. You say, well, what is it going to change? Well, what's AI going to do? Well, it's already doing it. It's doing things that Google search couldn't do. And now we're wondering, in fact, I was watching the business program the other day that the man who is the inventor, you could say, the one that really brought this AI forward, he was in before a congressional hearing in Washington. And they were asking him questions about, what's going to happen in the future with this. And he basically said, I don't know. He said it could be dangerous. He said that right before a congressional meeting in Washington. So I'm sure what Scott's going to be speaking about today is AI, and is it going to make the world more ungodly, or could it make the world more godly? What do you think? Well, Scott's going to tell us. Scott, I hope I'm not giving too much of your talk away.
No. We had a scheduled speaker for the convention, Dr. Bradshaw, who was going to talk about artificial intelligence. And I was kind of looking forward to that talk because it's something I'm interested in, but it's not entirely relevant to the JW community, although we're going to make it relevant. And we had a question about AI on the Christian courts. I thought, this is a topic people are talking about. It's something we can discuss. So that's what we're
and just to give people an idea, if you're listening in here to Six Screens, if you don't already know a little bit about it, but I mean, there's a world of difference. There's a world of difference with, between Google search, Bing, and AI. For example, if you're trying to find a hotel room out there in North Carolina, find me, you get in, you punch in hotel in Raleigh, North Carolina, it'll come up with a bunch of hotels. But what AI is now capable of doing, you can say to AI, you can put into the AI search engine, you can say, find me a hotel in Raleigh, North Carolina. I want it near, I want it near the movie theaters, and I want to spend $100 a night, and book it for me. AI will very shortly have the capabilities of doing all of that. You won't have to do it yourself. So let's listen to what Scott has to say and what Jody has to say, and we're looking forward to it. So let's bring us, I'm going to get out of here and let Scott take it over, and Jody. Thank you, Scott. Jody.
Okay, well, we are the disciples of Yahweh in Christ. We have this ministry from the Lord, and we try to help people in their knowing God. And so today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, AI, and this should be a fun one. I hope you guys have interest and some questions. And because this is knowing God after leaving the Watchtower, we are going to make it relevant to people who have been in the Watchtower. I'm going to talk about what is the Watchtower's view on AI and how you might be assessing this as an XJW. And that's the plan for today. So Jody, let's say hi to Jody. Get him back on the stage. Jody, how you doing?
Oh, I am blessed with the joy of the Lord Jesus Christ. Just, I get so excited. I got to go tell everybody all about it, that Jesus is Lord. But this is a very interesting topic. Please, by the way, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Disciples of YHWH in Christ. And email us if you got a question. Your question could turn into a series or a topic. We might use it. So please give us your questions. But this AI, I find this is a fascinating topic. And, I'm not fearful because, it is in God's hands anyway. So even if it was dangerous, we're still in God's hands. But, just like this morning, I was like, I seen Scott, and he's a real person. He's not AI, neither am I. But it might get to where you can't tell a AI from a real person, but it doesn't matter because we're still in God's hands. And I'm not fearful with this technology. Technology can be used for good or it can be used for evil. So I'm sure AI will be used for both. Just like the internet's been used for good and bad, TV's been used for good or bad. And that was a new technology at one time. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Scott's got on it, because, he's dealt with technologies before because he came from an engineering background. So I'm looking forward to hearing his spill on this as well.
Well, that was a really good introduction, Jody. You covered everything that we're going to discuss today. So let me just briefly mention my own background. I used to work. I'm trained as an engineer. That's what my bachelor's degree is in. I worked at IBM for 17 years, so I know the information technology field, and I'm still interested in it, even though I've become a Christian minister now. I'm still interested in the technology stuff. I keep an eye on the news. I keep my pulse on certain things. And AI is one of those that interests me because I'm also using AI a lot myself, just for common, household tasks and study research that I'm doing. So I have a lot of familiarity with it. And what I used to do at IBM was teach computers. That's what programming is. You're teaching a computer to follow a set of instructions. And AI computers don't do anything but that. So I'll talk about that a little bit. Now, with all this hype over AI, all this talk, it's time for a national conversation on artificial intelligence and how it's going to change the world. Like Rick was saying, obviously there's going to be some changes. This is what's known as a disruptive technology. It disrupts the way things are done and brings about a new way of doing some things, maybe not everything. But you can think about a lot of the technologies we've dealt with in the past and how disruptive they were when they first appeared. So as I was saying, we need to have this national conversation. And of course, Jody and I are going to approach this from a Christian angle. And we'll talk about, again, what does the Watchtower say about AI? And how should you understand it as someone, most of our audience are people who have left the Watchtower. But as we look at what's going on, I don't see really a nice, rational national discussion, where everyone's being calm. What you tend to hear in the news these days when it comes to AI, artificial intelligence, you hear the evangelists and the fearmongers. And the fearmongers are getting a lot more attention because that's in our country, right, that's what the news runs, right? They run the doom and gloom. They run the things that get clicks. Unfortunately, that sells. So the doomsayers, the fear mongers are getting more attention, but the evangelists for AI are the ones who are promoting it and saying, oh, it's going to end world hunger. It's going to say, it's going to, eliminate pollution. It's going to save us from ourselves. AI is the savior. That's one crowd. And on the opposite pole, we have the fear mongers, the doomsayers. AI is going to destroy humanity. It's going to wipe out the planet. It's going to become aware, and like Skynet from the Terminator films is going to wipe out humanity. So you've got these two sides going at it. And what we need to do is be clear thinkers and evaluate the reality of AI. So I'm not going to become an evangelist and tell you AI is the great savior. I'm not going to be a fear monger or a doomsayer and say it's going to destroy humanity. It will not. I tell you again, as someone who knows technology, AI is not going to destroy humanity, but that fear just sells. I don't know why, but there it is. People want to hear that. So I mentioned before we had questions on the Christian court about AI. And the one question that came in mentioned how pastors were getting AI to write their sermons, or at least that's the report. And so the question was, how should Christians feel about AI? So we talked about that on the Christian court, and we'll touch on that a little bit. But I want to start with the fears of AI. And especially one of the things I've been trying to do with this show, and just generally when talking to the ex-Jehovah's Witness crowd, is help you reduce fear. Because what I see is when you were in the Watchtower, they would use fear to manipulate and control you. And now that you've come out, a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses still have some fear left in them. But I still think of all people, you who were controlled and manipulated by fear should recognize you need to be cautious about, especially the fear mongers. Because isn't the Watchtower one of those fear mongers, one of those doomsayers? Armageddon is coming. We're all going to, everybody's going to be wiped down. And, oh, yeah, the fear of being disfellowshipped. Oh, if you don't wear the right clothes, if you don't wear the right facial hair, if you don't wear it in the right way, God will be, Jehovah will be upset at you. And by the way, you'll be thrown out of the organization and disfellowshipped, and no one will talk to you. You'll lose all your community. That's fear. That's manipulation. That is evil, quite frankly, to use fear in that way. But that's been going on for all of human history. Fear is used to control and manipulate. Politicians use it to try and make you afraid of this person or that person or this group or that group or some horrible thing that's coming. And of course, AI then comes along and becomes another tool that the fear mongers and the doomsayers can use to try and make you afraid. So let's do a little bit about religious fears about AI. And let's start with, what does the Watchtower say? What does the Watchtower say? I was interested to know what do they have to say about AI, because I thought this is an opportunity for them to use this, AI is coming, as yet another tool in their toolbox of fear to make people afraid. And there's a lot of end times speculation, end time prophecy people in the world outside the Watchtower who are using AI to make people afraid. But to my surprise, and in a way, delight, I'm glad that the Watchtower does not do that. And they actually had an article, Artificial Intelligence, Is It Intelligent? And what they say is it's a human system capable of problem solving without implying sentience or spiritual power. Okay? Like any tool can be used for good or evil, or like any technology, they say. This is the Watchtower's view on AI. May be misused, and its use is unpredictable. Okay? They say Jehovah will never allow human inventions to destroy the earth or humanity. So that's good. The The Watchtower is not using AI as a tool. They have plenty of other tools to make people afraid and manipulate their members. So they don't really need yet one more. But I thought it was interesting. And another thing that this tells me, all the fear mongering and the doomsayers about AI are kind of outside the Watchtower. The Watchtower itself is not propagating fear of AI. But what that means, if you think about it, if you're an ex-witness, you're actually more vulnerable to the fear mongers and the doomsayers about AI now that you're an ex. Because if you were inside, right, you probably wouldn't be looking at the worldly news quite so much, and you'd be reading your Watchtower and your Awake magazine, and they'd be telling you AI is just a tool, and it's not going to destroy the world. So the ironic conclusion is that you have more problems out here in the wider world with fear mongers, doomsayers, and of course, as I was saying, there's also the evangelists who are saying AI is going to be a great savior, and we don't listen to either of those extreme poles, but just take a realistic view. What's going on with AI? What is its potential? How might it change the world? And what should we do about that? But anyway, so the Watchtower is not fear mongering about AI. That's good, but there's so much of it out here in the wider world, and some of it is religious fear. So there are, like I was saying, prophecy teachers, end time people who are saying AI may be the way that the Antichrist takes over the world or tries to destroy the world. And it's one of the things you hear about AI in terms of religious fears is that it will be the thing that gives the image of the beast the ability to speak. So that somehow the AI might create an artificial entity that would be a spokesman for the Antichrist, or it will be the beast, or it will give the beast a voice, something like that. Again, making this into that tool of end times prophecy. And okay, so how do we evaluate that? Well, like I said, one of the things I've been trying to do on this show and elsewhere is just take away your fear by showing you that this is not what the Bible is about. It's not a book about fear. It's not about making people afraid. And even the book of Revelation was not given to the church to make the Christian people, the believers, fearful. It was given to reassure them during a time of persecution that God was in control, and those who remain with Christ during this crisis that's about to happen will emerge in the better position, right? So stick with Jesus, stick with God despite the persecution, and that God will love you and uphold you and save you, even if you end up dying in this crisis. You will be resurrected. And anyway, it was a reassurance. So how terrible is it that in modern times the book of Revelation has become like a weapon, like a club? It's weaponized Bible to beat people. I talked about this in my talk at the convention. If someone were to take a phone book and roll it up and hit you with it, you might start to fear phone books because of the association with the pain. I see the phone book, I feel pain. So you might start to hate the phone book. And I think that a lot of people, because in a way, the Bible was sort of used to beat them like a club. The doctrines of the Bible, or the book of Revelation, boom, 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 was used to cause them pain, whether that was in the Watchtower or some other cult, or through the anxiety that people get from all this end times fear. That's just, what do they call it? Rapture anxiety. There are people that have rapture anxiety. And that's the source of their fear, why they lie awake at night, why they can't sleep well, is because all of that fear mongering. None of that's from God. And so I think in a way they come to be afraid of the Bible because it was used like a club to beat them. That's shameful. And I hate to see that. So again, one of the things I want to do is calm our fears. And, Jody was already talking about this. The Bible doesn't teach us to be afraid. When we know that God is in control and we have salvation in Christ, then we can be assured of our salvation. But and it's really shameful to find so much religious fear out there about AI. I want to show you something. I did a search on YouTube. So I'm going to show you the results of this. Let's see. No, that's not the right one. Give me a second here. I need to find my, okay, here we go. All right, I'm putting this up on the screen if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. I did a search on AI beast. That's it, 2 terms, AI beast. And you get, could the image of the beast be AI? So there's that. AI is the beast and the I am. What kind of crazy talk is that? Jesus is the I am. Yahweh is the I am. Now they're saying AI is the I don't know what that means. Is AI part of the beast prophecy explained? And on and on. AI and the beast of Revelation. Is AI the beast system? You get a lot about the beast system. Mark of the beast technology. And on it goes. It's pretty ridiculous. And let me stop that. So this is you see the fear mongering. That's what I see, is getting more press. And that's not what the book of Revelation is about. I've done several shows here. I have videos on our YouTube channel, Disciples of Yahweh in Christ YouTube channel, where I talk about what does this part of the book of Revelation mean? You know, who are the 144,000? Who is the beast of Revelation? I've done teachings on all those, again, to try and calm fears. That's not what the Bible is about. And I hope that, you know, maybe you guys have some questions. I'll see if I can keep up with the chat and find out what's on your mind. But I have more to say about this, but I want to check in with Jody and see what and the chat. Jody, you still there? Let me see if I can grab Jody. I'm going to put him back. There he is. Jody, you're muted, so you're gonna have to. Do I have to do that? Okay.
Yeah, you know, a lot of your false teachers uses fear mongering to gain converts. So we see that happening all the time. And you know, the beast and the false image, you know, that's fear mongering. The beast is not AI, and obviously the bad guys can always use technology for them or against them. So, but you know, we know who's in charge. We know Jesus Christ is in charge. He loved us. So what do we have to fear if we got the God of the universe on our side? I mean, all the demonic forces of hell could come against us, but if Jesus is on our side, we ain't got nothing to fear. He said, Deuteronomy 28:7 said, they shall come against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. And that's an amazing verse in the Bible that where we don't have nothing to fear. Now, as a human, have I ever feared? Yes. But that's the human side of me. But if we listen to the Bible, we have nothing to fear. This AI can be good. Like you said, you can look up things about the Bible with AI, or it could be evil. It could be used for pornography. It could be used for evil. But, you know, AI itself is not evil. It's just the technology, like the example that you gave, the phone book. It could be used for bad, like hitting somebody over the head, or it could be used for good, like looking up the church's phone number. So that's a good example there, Scott.
Yeah, and like you were saying, the Bible even we can find verses that give us this reassurance. If God is with us, who can be against us, right? If God is for us, and He is, when we're on God's side, the Scripture says we're not given a spirit of fear. We are not given a spirit of fear, but of love, patience, and sound mind. But we see that the wider culture has a spirit of fear. One of the things that amazes me is that people who are working with this technology, like even Elon Musk, will say these things like, you know, AI might take over the world. Really? Why might AI take over the world? It's not. It's you know, as someone who's a developer of the technology, you should really understand its limitations. So it makes me wonder, why is someone like Elon Musk and these other people giving into the fear, right? As Christians, we don't have a spirit of fear because we understand God is in charge. But when you don't have God, or if you don't have a supernatural view of the world, then this world is all there is. There's no outside force that's keeping evil at bay. And so you look around and see this AI has the potential to wipe us out. And you start you have all the movies that we've seen, like I mentioned Terminator, but there's been others where the artificial intelligence or the machines, right? The Matrix, right? Why are they in the Matrix? Because they lost a war between humanity and machines. And so the machines are now their oppressor, and it wiped out most of humanity. I think that's the story anyway. So we have a lot of these books and movies and TV that continue this idea that if AI were to become self-aware, right, it would suddenly take over and even destroy us. Because if you think of a machine, like it's just going to be cold and calculating, right? Well, the best thing for the planet would be to get rid of these awful humans. There's even people that say that, but you can imagine a machine, if it were thinking logically, mathematically, it would just do some calculations and say, I should just wipe out humanity. It wouldn't have any thought of, oh, that's wrong. And this is what we get from the media, from movies and TV and things like that. And I want to address that. But first, I want to mention some of the comments in the chat, because I see you guys talking. Donietta said that the Watchtower used to be very against AI. I did not know that. That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I'm not surprised that they flip-flop, because what haven't they flip-flopped on? The one article that I looked up when I said, what is their current view? Well, they're not fear-mongering now, or they're not against it now. They're just saying it's a tool, it can be used for good or evil. So what did they used to say? I'd be interested to know that. Beverly says, I use Alexa just about every day. And now the question becomes, I would say, is Alexa really AI? What we've found since we started using ChatGPT in this household is Alexa is not very smart. Alexa seems like the sixth grader compared to ChatGPT, which has been compared to a university professor in terms of the knowledge base that it has access to. We find that Alexa is often unable to answer our questions. So I got a lot of well, I'm waiting for Alexa Plus. They've promised us a new Alexa that's going to do better. Artsy Kim asked a question about the Book of Revelation, and she says she has a bunch of them. That's good, but since this show is about AI, I'm going to wait until the end and see if I can squeeze some of those in. But let me get back to talking about this idea that AI might become self-aware or might take over the world. Again, I mentioned that I used to work as an engineer at IBM, and I was a programmer or a software developer, a little bit more involved in just programming. But I know about teaching computers, essentially. And I got to tell you, as I said this before on the Christian Court, computers are dumb. Computers don't know anything, right? They don't have intelligence. In fact, the whole idea of the name artificial intelligence is seen by some people as just so much marketing hype, right? There's no intelligence there. They don't have a mind, and they don't even have a brain. Let me show you this book cover. Here it is. Okay, so if you're watching the video stream, I just put up on the screen the book cover called The AI Con: How to Fight Big Tech's Hype and Create the Future We Want. So they're saying AI is a confidence game, right? It's a con job. That the whole idea of artificial intelligence is problematic because, well, again, computers don't have intelligence. So they're calling it hype, right? All this talk about computers is so much hype because it's beyond their capacity. Computers don't have a brain. Computers don't have a soul. They don't have a mind. They're not really thinking. And I think, because of my IT background, I understand the technology. I know what computers can and cannot do. But for someone who's never studied these things, it really looks like magic in a sense. As it was Arthur C. Clarke said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. In other words, if you were to show a smartphone to someone living 100 years ago, even, they would say that's magic. That there's no technology in the world that can do what you're showing me. So, just not having the understanding of the technology and how it works and what its limitations are. Someone who's talking to an AI like ChatGPT might get the impression this thing is intelligent. It's thinking, right? You might say to yourself, but that's really an anthropomorphism. It's projecting human characteristics onto the machine. But why is it? Why is it? This is my assessment, which I want to share with you. Some really intelligent programmers have programmed the computer to act in a certain way when it's interacting with you. So the intelligence that you see when you're talking to something like ChatGPT is the intelligence of other humans. They've made it act this way, and it can only do what they've told it to do. And this is why the computers, the AIs make mistakes. You spend enough time talking to them, you're going to see them make mistakes. I was in one conversation with ChatGPT, and by the end of the conversation, it had already forgot things we discussed before. And it said, I can't wait to see what you have to say about this. And I said, we already discussed that. So, that would be really strange if you were sitting talking to a person and they forgot something you said to them, an hour or two ago in a single discussion. So they make mistakes, and some of those have made the news. They're so impressive, the mistakes. But I just want you to understand, again, from the perspective of someone who knows the technology, computers don't have a mind. They don't have intelligence. Artificial intelligence could be seen as marketing hype, right? Good marketing. There's no intelligence there except the intelligence of people. Oh, and here's another thing. An AI like ChatGPT uses large language models. You may hear this LLM, large language models, is what the best AIs that I'm aware of today are using. So what a large language model means that the computer is given this data set, and it's conversations that people have had, intelligent, human, rational thinking people. And the computer is able to study all this data and mimic. It's mimicking the way that people communicate, the kinds of answers they give. And of course, just like the search engine is able to search out all kinds of information, the computer has access to a lot of information that it can then apply into the conversation that it's mimicking. So the fact that when you're typing to ChatGPT or talking to it, that it can talk to you and it sounds a lot like a real person, all that is just mimicry. It's really good mimicry. But the intelligence that you perceive, again, it's just other people. It's the people from the data sets and the people who programmed it. That's the intelligence that you're seeing. So don't think that there's a mind back there in the machine. There's no ghost in the machine. The intelligence you're seeing is real human intelligence. That's true whether you're a believer or not a believer. Now, as believers, we know that there is a soul, that we are made in the image of our Creator, and that we are so much different than machines. But what happens in a secular society, as our here in the West, our society has become more and more secular. What they start teaching in the schools, what the academics start to come to believe, is that human beings are just animals, right? There's no higher power, there's no soul, there is no mind. It's all just physics and chemistry. And when you start thinking that way, then you have to reduce the human image, the image of God, to just, you're another animal, your brain is basically a computer. Well, if it were true that our brain is basically a computer, or our mind, all that we think of mind, intelligence, soul, is just a computer, then if we have a sophisticated enough computer, it should be able to mimic a human mind. It should be able to, do everything that a human mind can do. And then as they extrapolate and imagine the computer getting more and more compute power, they would think, well, it's going to become more intelligent than us. And therefore, right, as the superior species, now on a Darwinian kind of view, survival of the fittest or of the strongest, the new species tends to crowd out the old one. So if the computer becomes this super intelligence and is now the most evolved thing on the planet, by a theory of evolution, it's going to crowd out humans in an evolutionary mechanism. So that's the way, people come to start to believe, because they're not believers. They don't think of God as in control and man as having been made in God's image, having a soul and a mind that is immaterial, beyond physics and chemistry. Then they reduce humans to just physics and chemistry and say, well, my machine, my computer has physics and chemistry. If the brain is a computer, I've got this computer that I can make more powerful than your brain, then it's going to become more intelligence. But that's never going to happen. Computers have no intelligence, no mind, no soul. All they're doing is mimicry, and they're only able to do that mimicry by studying the output of intelligent humans. In fact, you guys probably participated to some extent in the data sets of those large language models, because they're monitoring our interactions. Gmail gives away free email accounts. Why do you think they do that? They can watch people communicate, talk, see how humans talk. And that all of our conversations that we have online, all of the ones that have been monitored, become the data set that you feed to the AI in order to teach it how to mimic human conversation. And so just by sending your emails and writing your blog posts or putting comments up, you may have inadvertently been part of the training of the AIs. Us humans are certainly everywhere, but you and I may have actually contributed. And so part of that intelligence that you see when you look into the AI and have these conversations is human intelligence. Maybe even a little bit of you is in there, and a little bit of me, and a little bit of billions of other people, and trillions of conversations that we've had that the computer digested and sort of mirrors back to us. Okay? So I would hope that understanding that will reduce your fear, so that when you hear the fear mongers and the doomsayers saying it's going to become more intelligent, it's going to wipe us down, it's going to crowd out, no, not going to happen. I know lots of other people, well, I wish there were more people saying this, quite honestly. It's really disappointing to me that a lot of Christians have jumped on the doomsayer bandwagon and the fear mongering about AI. And yet, ironically, all these people are still using it. If they're really afraid of it, shouldn't you stop developing it? If it's really going to destroy humanity, shouldn't you stop making the thing that's going to destroy you? Anyway, so that's a lot of what I wanted to say. And now I want to hear what you guys have to say. And let me check in with Jody first. Where is he? He's still there. Jody, what do you think of all this so far?
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right. It's fear mongering, and that's the way they sell books. That's the way they sell everything. And I like your point that artificial intelligence, remember that word, artificial intelligence. So it's not really intelligence. It's, and it's like, can a computer beat a man in a chess game? Well, they use artificial intelligence, but that's hundreds of thousands, probably, chess players that have one chess player. So then, yeah, artificial intelligence is just what it says. It's not real. It don't have a soul. It don't have truly a mind. It's data collected. So we don't have to fear something that is artificially false. No soul, no mind. So it's nothing to fear. and then I've read the last chapter of the book, and we win. So it doesn't matter. Even if all this was true, we still win in the book. I've read the last chapter of the book, the last book, and we win in the end. So don't fear. Don't fear. Do not fear.
Yeah. What do the angels say every time they appear to someone? They say, "Do
Do
not be
not fear.
afraid." Yeah, don't fear. And Jesus said that too to his disciples, "Do not fear." So we're not given a spirit of fear. We're not going to be afraid. But I think also knowledge is helpful, right? When you have the knowledge of what's really going on inside that AI and what large language models are, it will reduce your fear. I want to show you guys another article real quick. Wait a second. I'm going to put it up on the screen for those who are watching. This is an article that I saw that came out recently. It's called "The Great AI Delusion is Falling Apart." This is the Telegraph from the UK. And in this, they talk about how the people who are trying to use AI to do business. Jody, I'm going to mute you. We're getting a lot of wind noise again. The people who are trying to use AI in the real world to do business, to improve productivity, and all the things that were promised in the hype, they're finding that AI does not live up to the hype. It's not capable of doing these things. They mention a company, where is it here? They mention a company called Klarna, who had laid off a bunch of employees. They said, "Oh, we're going to put AIs, they're going to do the jobs," right? So that's one of those fears, right? AI is going to take all our jobs away. So this company, believing the hype, fired a bunch of employees. Now they're hiring again. They're hiring because they found AI can't do the thing. It can't. So the great AI delusion is falling apart. And they mentioned how workers who thought they were more efficient with AI were actually less efficient. And a study by IBM, where is it? A survey of 2,000 chief executives, right? Say 3 out of 4 AI projects have failed to show a return on investment. So trying to invest or trying to use AI to help your business right now is more of a losing proposition than a winner in terms of making money. And what a business is, they're looking to, for the bottom line, and they're finding AI doesn't live up to its hype. Nothing lives up to its hype. And some people have even suggested that what we're seeing with AI could become like the .com bubble. It's an AI bubble. Remember the bubble? Uh-oh. Bubbles are not good. We don't want to have bubbles, because then the economy kind of shrinks afterward, because we're seeing a lot of money being invested, venture capital being invested in AI, and 3 out of 4 not returning investment, which means this is not a winner for the economy. It's actually a loser. So lots of hype. It's falling apart. And now I want to know if you guys have anything to say. So I need Rick to join the stage again, so that we can open phone lines and hear your questions or comments. What's been your experience of AI? Have you seen its limitations? Do you know the fear mongers? I saw someone in the chat mentioned a friend who is deathly afraid of AI taking over. What do you want to share? What do you want to say, or ask a question? Rick, can we get you back on the stage, please? And so that we can have the the phone lines open. All right.
It's open now. Yep.
Okay. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Susan.
I really appreciate you allayed a lot of my fears. Questions that I had, and showing that it doesn't really have a mind. And as an example, what anyone could do is I once in a while try to beat the chat. I play a game, beat the chat. And sometimes you can. And one of the things that I beat the chat with was I asked ChatGPT to pray for me. It can't. It's not, but at least and I have the real ChatGPT, the marketed one. So it couldn't do that at this time. So it doesn't really have a mind. It can't put together a prayer. It can't encourage. I mean, it might encourage you with psychobabble, but it can't encourage you with anything biblical.
That's right.
So
Well,
I was wondering, do you think in time they will, they'll be so, try to get so advanced that they'll have prayer and more scriptural things for people, or do you think they'll just ignore all that?
No, what I think will happen is someone will create a prayer bot, the chat, instead of chat bot, it's prayer bot, and it will
Oh,
make up prayers. But it'll do that again by drawing on the data of real people having prayed for each other, and again the computer's monitoring this, whether it's from emails or whatever, from instant messages, and it will just synthesize kind of prayers in the same way that people do, and it'll make mistakes. They'll always make mistakes. So yeah, this technology. First of all, I love what you said, that it's helped with some of your fears to take them away. That's my goal, so I'm so happy to hear that. But as to what's going to happen, yeah, they're going to get more sophisticated. Yeah, they're going to make fewer mistakes to AIs, and this technology is going to change things the way all other technologies have that are similar. Think about ebooks. Remember when ebooks were starting to come out? And it's like, that's the end of paper books. You'll never see all these paper books anymore. The bookstores are all going to go away. No more bookstores. It didn't happen, right? And now we have ebooks and paper books living in harmony that's settled out at exactly that distribution that is right for the consumers. The same thing will happen with AI. Some businesses will find that it will enhance their bottom line, but maybe many of them won't. I don't see a lot of jobs going away, but the people will need to be trained in AI to do their jobs, and they'll do them better in some sectors, not everywhere. It's just like having computer skills, right? How many people need to have computer skills to do their job? Quite a few, but not every last one. You're going to need some jobs are going to need more AI skills, and others not so much. So that's just going to come along like all previous technologies. So that's what I see happening. And yeah, they'll make one that will pray for you. The question is, would you want it to, right? Because God hears the prayers of righteous men. What do I need with the computer? It's not a righteous man. Its prayer isn't going to be working. It's not going to be effective. But here's another. You could have it help you compose prayers. If you're having trouble coming up with prayers, I mean, there's so much material to draw on. I don't think you really need an AI to help you compose your prayers, but people might use it in that way. But it's only really going to be effective if there's a real person behind it, because God doesn't listen to computers pray. There's no soul there. Thanks for the question.
Well, thank you, Scott. I really, if you ever come up with another program explaining it, because I think a lot of people, especially my age, don't understand computers as well. And since you got into you made the program, you didn't make the machine, you made the program. So in a sense, what the computer knew, what it knows. So it would go along with what, your way of thinking, which I didn't think about that it would reflect the individual that was programming it. So if you ever get the chance to do this again, that would be really nice.
Yeah, maybe the people will be interested in this topic and have more to to say. But anyone else out on the phone lines?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hi, Scott. It's and Rick. It's and Jody. It's Donnie here. When I said when I wrote hello, I wrote the Watchtower used to be very against AI, and your comment made me think. Oh yeah, what exactly? And I was trying to find something in the Watchtower, and you know what? It's never actually. It's another Watchtower thing where. At the assemblies and at the JW meetings, they say what they're against, but they don't actually write it down. You won't actually find it written, because I know, for fact at the meetings they were constantly saying, no, we're not going to be becoming technology minded. We're going to have our Bible in our hand all the time. and things like that. And then, of course, they changed their mind and they wanted everyone to rush out and buy a tablet and this, that, and the other. So, yeah, it wasn't actually anything that was written down, but they did go on about it at assemblies and at the meetings. So, yeah, sorry if I misled you.
Oh, no, no, I understand, because there's this tension always in the teachings of the Watchtower. The end is coming, therefore don't learn anything, don't get any education and so forth. And yet they have educated people working for them. They had, Barbara at the convention talked about the computer technology that they were not only using, but developing their own software and selling it. There's this hypocrisy that's kind of built in to the Watchtower. So what you say just fits perfectly with my vision of them, saying to the people, don't do this while we do that very thing. That's typical in spiritual abuse, by the way. Thanks for your comments.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did actually think about a few days ago. I thought, my goodness, the society that I was in, the Watchtower, it was very much do as I say and not as I do. And that was always what they used to criticize of the religions about, especially they were on the back of the Catholic Church all the time. And yet they were doing exactly the same thing. So, yeah, thank you. I'm so glad that God woke me up and that I'm out of it. Thank you very much.
Thanks. We're glad you're out too. Anyone else on the phone?
I'll speak up here, Scott. In fact, what I want to say, this is Rick Farron, of course. But anyways, what happens in the world we live in, mankind can come up with something very useful, very good to be able to help people, but also you have these hidden dangers that you were talking about. Now, artificial intelligence has the potential for a lot of misuse and harmful activity. I can just think of like advanced cyber attacks, these pathogens of virus that can be spread around the internet on cyberspace. That's just one thing. But I heard something the other day that really was troubling, how people will take total advantage of people using AI. And what you can do, you see it online, you see it on YouTube. People can actually take the voice of someone. Now, you don't have to have that person saying a specific thing, but you can make, for example, on YouTube, they have Stephen Lett. He's a governing body member. So they have him speaking somehow, some way. They were able to record him in AI and they could put their own words in his mouth. So what we have here, it's funny to watch it. It's really hilarious. They're singing and dancing, and this is all AI. But what got my thoughts up a little bit was the other day I was watching the business news, and what some of these sophisticated people are now doing is, for example, taking the voice of children, and then calling the grandparents or the parents and saying that, Cindy has a message for you. And then Cindy comes on and tells the grandparents, hi, Grammy, I'm being held hostage. I'm being kidnapped. Can you please help me? Can you please help me? Can you send money to these people? And it's the actual voice of the grandchild or the daughter or the son. Imagine how alarming and how difficult that would be to deal with. Was that my real grandson, a daughter? But a lot of older people are falling victim to this scam, and they're sending money without really even thinking about it. So you got things here that artificial intelligence can be so helpful, but boy, it can be so harmful, Scott.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Rick. As I was saying, we shouldn't be fear mongers and we shouldn't be evangelists. And I'm not saying that there are real problems. I mean, there are things that people can do now with AI that they couldn't do before. That's always been true of every new technology. It has a way to be misused. It has a way to let evil people do their evil. And there's just no putting the cat back in the bag. I mean, the internet is out there and the evildoers can reach out all the worldwide with their message. on YouTube or Twitter or whatever and spout evil and do evil things. Craigslist. Remember when it came along, people were attracting someone, and then they would be assaulted in some way because they answered a Craigslist ad. So there's always going to be evil actors, and any technology is going to give them abilities to do evil. That's just true of humanity. We have evil actors, and we need good law enforcement. We need responsible citizens. We need to be godly people, holy and religious people, as John Adams said, or there's going to be chaos. So that's the balance we strike at every time. I saw a comment here in the chat. Dallas said the Watchtower used to be Luddites because I guess now that you can go to school, they're not anymore. And I don't know if everybody knows the history of the Luddites. It's a term that I'm not sure everybody knows. In the early 1800s, when the Industrial Revolution was starting to pick up, there were machines being created that automated tasks formerly done by humans, and especially in the textile market. So there were these machines called stocking frames that were knitting together stockings, socks, textiles of various kinds, in the way that used to be done by hand. And there were some humans that were losing their jobs as a result of it. It just changed the way the workforce was. Well, there was a group called the Luddites, and they had a leader, supposedly, called Ned Ludd. It's probably a fictional character, but they would leave messages from General Ned Ludd and his army of redressers. So, and what they did is they committed vandalism. They committed acts of destroying stocking frames, these machines that were taking their jobs from their perspective. And by the way, the British government, this happened in the UK at the time, and the British government outlawed it. The punishment for destroying a stocking frame was the death penalty. That's how bad things got during the Luddite thing. Also, some of the Luddites were sent to a prison colony on an island. That island is called Australia. Hundreds of them were sent there for destroying stocking frames. They broke thousands of them in these acts of vandalism. And so the term Luddite now refers to someone who's unwilling to move forward, to progress, to embrace new technologies. And so you'll hear it thrown around a lot. If you don't know the story of the Luddites, it's actually fascinating what happened and how that legacy of this is the wrong way to act has become this moniker, Luddite, which unfortunately is thrown around a bit too easily for someone who's unwilling to embrace new technologies. But here we are again with AI, and it's coming. You can't really stop it. It has wonderful benefits. I mean, there are some things that it could do, and yes, there are terrible downsides. As with all technology, people will misuse it. But we have to be knowing God after leaving the Watchtower. And when we know God and know that man is made in God's image, we don't have fear about these things. We know that machines are not going to become super intelligence and take over the world and destroy humanity. They are going to cause problems. Yes, they are. And that's, again, every new technology. But the Luddite story has become this cautionary tale. Don't fall into that same trap. But unfortunately, people do constantly. Because now I think that we're probably going to see also acts of vandalism. We're going to see terrorist organizations crop up, perhaps, whose whole ideology is stop the progress of these evil machines that are going to destroy us. And who knows what kind of violence might ensue. That's life. That's life on a fallen earth with fallen people. But we can speak truth and love and life into the world. And that we do through the gospel of Jesus. So I think that's the end of our show. I'll give Jody the last word. I hope this AI talk has helped reduce your fears. That's my goal. Jody, how you doing?
Well, just keep on the firing line. Put Jesus Christ number one in your life, no matter what advanced technology come out. Maybe you will lose your job, maybe you won't. But if you get with the program, learn the technology, maybe you can get a job as a result of the technology. So, but I read the last chapter of the book. We win. Don't worry about things you can't prevent anyway. I mean, even if it was a disaster, even if it was as bad as they said it was, if you can't prevent it, I mean, why worry about it? But we're in the hands of a living God is way more powerful than any AI or any technology that will ever come out. So just keep on the firing line, keep with Jesus, and you won't go wrong. And subscribe to our YouTube channel.
All right. That's our show.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Jody. Thank you very much for wanting to be part of our network. We really appreciate it. We've got another program coming up here next, right here on the Six Screens Tele Network. And we're looking for Anne Marie. I don't see her yet, but anyways, we'll continue on, and I'll handle the program myself if I don't see her. But thank you guys for coming on. All you guys listening in right now, stay with us. We got more programming here on Sunday, Six Screens. Please stay with us. Stay on this YouTube channel, Facebook channel, and on our radio network. Thank you very much.